Building back better means getting support to the most vulnerable while maintaining our momentum on reaching the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the SDGs. Canada is here to listen and to help. This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset. This is our chance to accelerate our pre-pandemic efforts to reimagine economic systems that actually address global challenges like extreme poverty, inequality, and climate change.
To future generations, to build back better.
We have a great opportunity to build back and build back better.
To do things differently, to build back better, and to build back bolder.
And folks, it's not sufficient to build back. We have to build back better. That's what my plan is, to build back better.
But look at this essay that they published that remains on their website to this very day. It's written by Ida Auken, a World Economic Forum thinker and politician. I'm going to read it to you. Welcome to the year 2030. Welcome to my city, or should I say, our city. I don't own anything. I don't own a car. I don't own a house. I don't own any appliances or any clothes. Hang on. Are you a slave? Naked? It might seem odd to you. Yeah, it does, sister. But it makes perfect sense for us in this city. Everything you considered a product has now become a service. We have access to transportation, accommodation, food, and all the things we need in our daily lives. One by one, all these things became free. So it ended up not making sense for us to own much. What? Nothing is free, you wicked liar. Someone pays for everything. Someone had to make everything. Someone has to own everything. It's the fruits of their labor. That's a physical fact. That's a legal fact. That's a fact rooted in our very human nature. If you don't own your clothes, can someone come up to you and theoretically just take them? Then, when clean energy became free, things started to move quickly. Transportation dropped dramatically in price. It made no sense for us to own cars anymore, because we could call a driverless vehicle or a flying car for longer journeys within minutes. We started transporting ourselves in a much more organized and coordinated way when public transport became easier, quicker, and more convenient than the car. When energy became free, how does that work? Who pays for it then to get it, to mine it? You can't make wind turbines or solar panels without coal. You know that, right? You can't make steel without coal. You need coal to get the iron ore hot enough. There are not wind turbine factories that are powered by wind turbines. You can't. And the rare earth elements necessary for so much clean energy, they're not really that clean, are they? They have to be mined in horrific conditions, mainly in China. But forget about that statement. Look at this. We started transporting ourselves in a much more organized and coordinated way. That's the thing, isn't it? You will be organized. You will be coordinated. You will be directed. You will be scheduled. You will be told where you can and can't go, and when, and how, and most importantly, if at all. Look at this dystopian blather. No more homes, no more families, no more property, just ants in a colony. In our city, we don't pay any rent because someone else is using our free space whenever we do not need it. My living room is used for business meetings when I am not there. What? Someone's going to come into your living room and use it for a business meeting and maybe take your stuff since you don't own it. Obviously, you don't have any kids. You obviously don't value time just to be alone with your family. I guess you have no right to exclude anyone. Forget about that man's home is his castle business. Imagine strangers coming into your very home because it's all free. This. Once in a while, I get annoyed about the fact that I have no real privacy. Nowhere I can go and not be registered. I know that somewhere, everything I do, think, and dream of is recorded. I just hope that nobody will use it against me. All in all, it's a good life. I swear that is their definition of the good life. I swear I'm not making this up. Google it for yourself. Let me read the ending. All in all, it's a good life, much better than the path we were on. Really. Where it became so clear that we could not continue with the same model of growth. We had all these terrible things happening. Lifestyle diseases, climate change, the refugee crisis, environmental degradation, completely congested cities, water pollution, air pollution, social unrest and unemployment. We lost way too many people before we realized that we could do things differently. What do you mean we lost people? Is this some after the revolution talk now? What are you talking about? They never quite come out and say what they're doing differently or what their new way is, other than no property, no privacy. Pretty clear on that, aren't they? No property, no privacy. No property, no privacy. No jobs, no homes. Everything is owned by someone else. This is their best life they're offering you. This.
Everyone's in on the Great Reset. Well, almost everyone. There's one guy who's got the power to do something to stop it, and you know exactly where I'm going. And they made a mistake. They tried to get Trump on their side, so they invited Donald Trump to Davos, I think a couple of times. But in January, when Donald Trump, I think, really began to see the beast that he was up against, he went to Davos, to the World Economic Forum, and he stuck a mega finger in their eye.
We're committed to conserving the majesty of God's creation and the natural beauty of our world. But to embrace the possibilities of tomorrow, we must reject the perennial prophets of doom and their predictions of the apocalypse. These alarmists always demand the same thing: absolute power to dominate, transform, and control every aspect of our lives. We will never let radical socialists destroy our economy, wreck our country.
2 days after Donald Trump gave that speech, the 89-year-old leftist weirdo billionaire George Soros made an emergency intervention where, at Davos, once again, warning that the U.S. 2020 election will determine the, quote, fate of the whole world.
Clearly, I consider the Trump administration a danger to the world, but I regard it as a purely temporary phenomenon that will disappear in 2020.
Do you get it? Do you see why there's so much hate for Trump? Because with all of his faults, again, he's the capitalist. He's not the globalist. He never will be one of them.
Wise leaders always put the good of their own people and their own country first. The future does not belong to globalists. The future belongs to patriots.
And shortly after the speech at the UN, Donald Trump delivered, what do you think happened? The coronavirus was unleashed on the world, and Trump's booming U.S. economy went on life support. Do you think that was an accident?
I am greeted with a hostile press, the likes of which no president has ever seen. They come at you with the most horrible, horrendous, biased questions. And you see it, 94 or 95% of the press is hostile. They treat me so unfairly, it's hard to believe that I won.
We're now looking at the worst president in American history.
The worst president in American history.
The worst president in modern history.
This era we're in with Donald Trump, it's like the gates of hell have been opened.
We thought Emperor Nero was wrong to fiddle as Rome burned. This guy's worse.
He's been an abomination.
What a poor excuse for a president.
This moral monster.
What a poor excuse for a man.
What a pathetic, sniveling little man our president is.
What a poor excuse for a human being.
He's unfit to be human.
I believe this man is capable of horrific deeds.
This vile, immoral, corrupt, indecent, dangerous, intellectually unfit president is a danger to all of us.
It's not really in serious dispute anymore that President Trump is not up to this job.
The president has been inept from the start.
This president has basically failed the American public.
How badly is he failing right now?
Do you think to date, in the last 6 months, he has damaged the credibility of the office of the presidency?
Homicidal negligence of the President of the United States.
There is death after death after death that is on the president's watch.
He has blood on his hands.
Our president has blood on his hands.
Blood on his hands.
Rivers of blood on his hands.
More people and dying in America tonight because Donald Trump is president.
All right, so today the question being asked, is President Trump a racist?
Is President Trump a racist?
We have a racist president.
We have a racist as a president.
We have a man-child who is deranged and racist in this office.
You don't have a president, as you said, talking about exterminating Latinos.
It almost feels like a little ethnic cleansing is going on in the United States right now.
People say, well, I'm not sure President Trump is a racist. Well, racist is as racist does.
No, he is a racist. He is a racist. Can we just say it once and for all?
Anyone who is in that White House and who is supporting him is complicit in their racism as well.
To people who look like me, it's about imminent danger.
When I see the Make America Great Again hat now, Chris, I am triggered. I'm so triggered. This Make America Great Again hat is just as maddening and frustrating and triggering for me to look at as a KKK hood.
This president, Donald John Trump, has instigated a race war in America.
When he said today, America first, it was not just the racial, the Hitlerian background to it.
America first is really white America first.
That is just the emboldening of white bigotry by a white nationalist, white supremacist presidency.
It carries with it overtones from the 1930s. The words themselves carry very ugly echoes in our history.
Is it appropriate to ask whether the president is having difficulty with rationality?
It's crazy what we're watching every day. Yeah. It's absolutely crazy.
People in European governments think that Trump has lost his mind.
It is possible that he's mentally ill in a way.
It's almost like being in the ward of a mental hospital half the time.
We're getting the ramifications as a nation of what having a sick man in the White House means.
I don't believe him sane. Flatly.
I don't think he's a stable person.
He is unstable.
He's not well.
I saw this as a psychotically incoherent speech with cookies and dog poop.
Do you think there's any part of him that's capable of shame?
He can't feel normal human emotions.
I don't think he's capable of the basic empathies that we feel as human beings, and that's what a sociopath is.
This is what happens when you elect a sociopath as president.
This is somebody in deep psychological distress right now, self-pitying, insecure, angry.
The president described as volcanic, seething tonight.
The president went ballistic.
NBC News has learned the president became unglued this week.
Get real! Come on! We talked about the... He's nuts, and we're in the middle of it!
Well, Chris, I think that that address probably should have come with a Surgeon General's warning. It was hazardous to the truth.
How can anyone see this as unifying when he is spewing out lies to the American people? Lying.
Do you think journalists are going to look back years from now and regret not doing even more to speak out about this lying and deceit?
I think some journalists will.
Just an astounding blizzard of lies.
Blizzard of lies?
Blizzard of lies.
From the President of the United States.
He lies every minute. He changes his story second to second.
You're facing a fertilizer spreader in a windstorm.
Start from that premise. He's a liar. We should fact check him backwards, maybe. See if anything he's telling us is true.
Trump and some of his allies are promoting a hate movement against the American press.
He is really trying to incite violence against reporters. How else can you interpret it?
If he could arrest us tomorrow, let me ask you a question. Do you think he would arrest us tomorrow? Because if you say he wouldn't, you're just lying to yourself.
It's a grotesque abuse of power by the President of the United States. This is the kind of thing that goes on in non-democracies.
Let's be frank, a national nightmare is upon us.
The country has a president who operates as an outlaw.
This president is a criminal, a thief and a liar.
A grifter, like a mob boss.
How strange is it for you to sit here and compare the president to a mob boss?
While he's technically exonerated from a crime, is he exonerated from his behavior?
Is President Trump out Nixoning Nixon?
The president is a Russian operative. America's president sided with its enemy today. That sounds like the description of a bad Hollywood screenplay, but it is real.
No president has ever been charged with treason, Douglas. Do you believe the president's actions fall anywhere within that definition?
That would be treason, right?
The spirit of what Trump did is clearly treasonous.
To believe that the president isn't compromised requires such a leap of faith.
All he had to do was not, put on jammies and crawl under the covers with Vladimir Putin, and he couldn't do that.
Biggest winner, Vladimir Putin. He basically took over the United States and got himself a Manchurian candidate.
What does Putin have on him?
What does Putin have on Trump?
What does Putin have on him?
What does Putin have on Trump?
We don't know, I think, if Putin is his handler, his hero, or his co-conspirator, but that's obviously where his loyalty lies.
Trump's authoritarian tendencies are on full display.
Donald Trump is an authoritarian of the first order.
An increasingly authoritarian president who is a danger for all of us.
The right-wing media's dear leader.
Toxic dear leader.
Wannabe dictator.
Dime store slurring Mussolini.
The Trump administration has been copying the wrong Korea.
Open your eyes, America. Open your eyes. We are teetering on a dictatorship.
Authoritarian leaders tend to get reelected because they are willing to improperly abuse the power of the government they control to keep themselves in power.
This would be the end of America. If this is what we're going to be, this won't be a democracy. That's a monarchy.
He's functionally a monarch.
I want to start using the word fascist.
Yeah, he's a fascist.
And if the party nominates Hitler, you going to vote for him?
Many tendencies like Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
I said it, throw me off the air.
Increasingly, Donald Trump is turning this nation into Nazi Germany.
Does this look like Germany in 1933?
We're getting close.
That is exactly why Donald Trump is compared to Hitler.
I hate comparing Trump to Hitler because Hitler could concentrate for more than 30 seconds and had normal-sized human hands.
Trump no doubt learned from any number of authoritarian leaders over the last 90 years. Ataturk, Franco, Mussolini, Stalin, and Hitler.
One thing we're not is the opposition.
We're not the opposition party. We are just trying to get at the truth.
When you see entire media companies essentially exist to tear down Joe Biden, is there an equivalent to that on the left tearing down Trump?
There really isn't.
Now, the software itself was created with so many variables and so many back doors that can be hooked up to the internet or a thumb drive stuck in it or whatever. But one of its most characteristic features is its ability to flip votes. It can set and run an algorithm that probably ran all over the country to take a certain percentage of votes from President Trump and flip them to President Biden, which we might never have uncovered had the votes for President Trump not been so overwhelming.
We don't know that, though. At the moment, these are to be decided, and that would push, and again, if you come at this from a Republican perspective, I did Joe Biden's math to get him up. Donald Trump's leading here. He's leading here. He's leading here. We expect him to win here. That's his. This one's interesting. We expect him to get this, and these normally would be Trump states out here and Alaska. So, again, we're open to being surprised, but if it plays out in a traditional map, that's where we're going to be. That's where we'll be as we go to the West Coast, somewhere in that ballpark. This is not an exact science, but somewhere in that ballpark, looking at Pennsylvania.
Vice President Biden, final question for you. Will you urge your supporters to stay calm while the vote is counted, and will you pledge not to declare victory until the election is independently certified?
Yes, and here's the deal. The people of this nation have spoken. They've delivered us a clear victory, a convincing victory, a victory for we the people. We've won with the most votes ever cast on a presidential ticket in the history of the nation.
There's a level of admiration I actually have for China, because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime.
This is our chance. This is our chance. This is our chance. This is our chance.